I wanted to see on SmackDown Gunther and Braun Strowman. Because, again...
Braun Strowman, for those of you who are new listeners.
Yeah, that big guy. Because, again, Gunther is today the business's most perfect wrestler. Every match he has is the match he should have with a particular guy. With Ricochet, it was the best match Ricochet's ever had. It made sense. Little guy fighting from underneath, refusing to die, blah, blah, blah. Gunther always looks good. His matches always make sense. His opponents always look better in the process. I thought, well, this will be a challenge because, again, old Braun... He's huge. He's big. Did I mention he's large? He's preternaturally massive. And that's how you got to sell him. And that's probably why they cut him a while back, because somehow he'd worked his way into a couple $1,000,000 a year. This guy is Andre with nowhere to go. Andre worked for years because he never stayed anywhere. He was oftentimes in the WWF, but more often than not, he was out around the world, appearing here and there. You never got tired of seeing a giant and seeing the strength he displayed, and he was a personality. But if you'd have seen him work every week after about 4 or 5 weeks, well, that would have been the end of that. And unfortunately, we've seen Braun for more than 4 or 5 weeks. There's ways you can make money with this guy, but he's very limited. Some of the things he can't do, he shouldn't do anyway. But then you shouldn't book him in a position where he needs to be doing them. So many of Gunther's strengths here were negated by Strongman's size and or plottiness. And a lot of times, Gunther, the chops and manhandling people. He can't manhandle a guy this size. It would make sense if he did, and he can't to begin with. You can't move this guy around. That was part of the problem with this match. And they gave these 2 giant beasts a dumpy female referee. Like, boy, if shit breaks down, she's going to have to lay the law down and maybe grab somebody.
Let's not put her down. She did nothing wrong.
Well, no, but it just looks visually ridiculous to have this monster and this fucking evil Gunther in there with nobody to fucking keep order, but a double for a fucking Walmart cashier. It's so, and I will recognize that Braun just did a nice work up there they were in Green Bay. He was on Wisconsin TV and he was wearing shoes. They're doing a fundraiser for a kid that was killed at the thing Christmas 2 years ago in Waukesha when some nut ran his car through the crowd. So that's nice. I'm not knocking this guy, except he's limited. And you can't have this guy working and this was a 20-minute match. Seemed like 30. But they booked it this way. And Gunther was trying as best he could. At first, he was smart and wary of Strongman and backing up and powdering out and putting the guy's strength over. He took a bump over the table for the goofy little shoulder tackle he does. And that's fine if you'd have kept it high impact, moving at a brisk pace, get to the meat of the matter and get the finish done. This wouldn't have been bad, but it was 20 fucking minutes. And once Gunther took over, he posted Braun and started working the bad arm that he had attacked to set this match up. It was tough then because Strowman doesn't sell much, so he's not very good at it. And you say, well, a guy that big shouldn't sell much. Well, you're probably right, but he was trying to here because he was put in a position where he had to. He's a guy that's hard to move around and hard to do stuff to, and you can't call selling like you call spots in a match. You can't say when the guys, it was stationary heat with an arm bar and or Strowman just down in one spot where he got hit or stomped. It wasn't Gunther's fault. But this match could have taken place in a snow globe. They didn't use any of the ring for the heat. And Strowman doesn't know enough. No, okay, boom, he's selling his arm, yes, but when he's selling his arm, he's got to roll away to a different part of the ring to create some space and try to reach out and pull himself up by the rope. So then Gunther's on him and he's wrapping that arm around the rope and he's doing it, working on it that way. And then Strowman can fucking bear paw him off and try to get on his knees to go the other way, to holding his arm to try to get to his feet, and Gunther can attack him from behind. And there can be motion to this. Instead, Strowman just laid there. And then finally, what I thought was going to be the comeback, he fires up and he nails both the Imperium guys off the apron and hits a power slam on Gunther and gets a 2 count. And they went to another break. It's like they're formatting, what did I say earlier in the program? With the percentage of women's matches. They got to the point where they were having 50% of the women's matches because they had good girls. Now they feel like they got to have them whether they got to have the girls or not. Whoever's formatting this show just said, oh, the first match will get 20 minutes. And didn't take into account who was in the match. And I would usually try to write my televisions and give guys time based on what they could do best and then work it out from there, rather than say these two, whoever these two are, they got to fill this amount of time. But anyway, did you notice during the trading when they got up and then at the end and they traded chops, Gunther was selling Strowman's chops more than Strowman was selling Gunther's, which wasn't at all. And that's his thing. So you either don't chop him or make him sell him, put him in a position where he's weakened anyway and has to sell him. So Gunther tried to make this palatable. Braun was doing the best he could, but this shouldn't have been this long or whatever. So finally, after all this stuff, Gunther was trying to kick it in at the end. Braun was trying to superplex. Gunther went to the bad arm to block it and got under him and was going to hit Strowman with a power bomb off the buckle. I assume maybe Braun's strongman has never been power bombed before. Either that or he's one of these people that don't like to go backwards or whatever. But when Gunther hit him up for the power bomb and he tried to bend over and put him down flat, Braun, instead of kicking his feet up and taking the flat back bump, put his feet down first instead of falling straight back. And so he gave him a power bomb to his feet and then to his back. 1, 2, 3.
Because of that power bomb, I was so shocked that was the finish.
I couldn't believe that somebody didn't say, do something again. So Braun Strowman was beaten by a botched bump that couldn't have hurt my Aunt Lola. And it was a 20-minute snooze fest that Gunther has never been involved in before. So both guys looked worse coming out of this. And again, 20 minutes was the root of a lot of it. But what are your thoughts?
You hit on my big one. It was 20 minutes. It felt a lot longer. It went a long time, and there's no good reason. There's no justification for this match needing to go that long. You would have achieved at least the same, more than likely a lot more, if it had gone 3 minutes to 5 minutes, and it just been nonstop, and then you went to the finish. This was so long. The finish looked terrible. But I get it. They only have so many guys, and they only have so many guys. They got 200 guys. They want to give everyone lots and lots and lots of time. This was terrible. I shouldn't say it was terrible, because I like Gunther typically. But
no, it was terrible, and also grating with what he normally does, but it wasn't his fault. And a lot of it wasn't Braun's fault either. He doesn't really know what the fuck he's involved in here. You can tell, and he's never been put in a position where anybody could exert any kind of physical dominance over him, so he's even more green at that than he is at everything else.